Hi everyone, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. In this video, I'm going to talk about the best office fragrances for men, so if that's something that you're interested in, please stay tuned. For those of you who are new here, my name is Ashley. I've been living and working in Paris now for 6 years and been working in fragrance for the past 10 years in different roles from fragrance curator to fragrance creator. And now I do work as an apprentice fragrance creator for a major fragrance company. So if you're interested in informed and unbiased fragrance reviews, consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so what makes a good office scent? And I think this is definitely something that's on a lot of people's minds because the last place we want to make fragrance faux pas is, of course, our workplace, also probably dates. But there's something about someone telling you you smell bad at work or someone being offended by your fragrance at work that's particularly embarrassing. So I've come up with this top 5 list to have you not only not offending your coworkers, but also having them giving you compliments and telling you that you smell amazing with appropriate office fragrances. So the first fragrance on this list is the fragrance for the office with coworkers who hate fragrance. So maybe you don't have your own office, or maybe you've gotten a comment on your fragrance before, and you want to make sure that your next fragrance choice is safe because of course you want to be respectful to your coworkers and make sure you're not triggering any headaches or allergies or stuff like that. And for that, I have Eau Sauvage by Christian Dior, and I think it's really important here to distinguish between Eau Sauvage and Sauvage because Sauvage is actually quite a big fragrance that maybe isn't as appropriate for the office, where Eau Sauvage I find to be very appropriate for the office. So Eau Sauvage starts with a beautiful blend of bergamot and lemon, and then you get into some aromatic notes like rosemary and basil, and then it finishes on an oak moss base. But to me, what really stands out here, it's a citrusy aromatic wood. If you like citruses, if you like a touch of kind of this herbal aromatic facet and woods, this is your fragrance. It's absolutely a classic. It's also a very versatile fragrance. This is a fragrance that will never go out of style. It wears pretty close to the skin. The longevity is moderate, about 4 hours, so you might have to reapply midway through. But what I really like is that the citruses are very uplifting. So as far as a fragrance to get you through the morning, it's so nice for this. It wears pretty close to the skin. You can definitely smell yourself, which is always what's most important to me. I always get really bummed when I spray something and I only smell it for 15 minutes. You'll get a solid wear. You'll get a couple hours, which is really nice. But yeah, just a great classic fragrance that I feel doesn't get so many negative comments. You have to be pretty close to smell this anyways. Definitely not someone that's sitting 6 feet away from you in another cubicle. They're not going to be able to smell that. And you can kind of just enjoy your fragrance to yourself with a bit of calm, knowing that, no one is going to say anything like that smells too synthetic or, oh, that smells cheap. It's a nice Dior fragrance. You can find it for under $100. It's very elegant, very classy, and it uses a lot of naturals. So, if anyone says you smell too synthetic or whatever, it's mostly a blend of citrus oils. And I think that also plays really well into people's perception of the fragrance, because a lot of times that's what kind of bothers them. It's the perception that they're smelling something synthetic or toxic, and here you're just kind of smelling like a lemon bergamot herbal aromatic blend, and I find that to be very appeasing to a lot of people. The next fragrance on this list is the fragrance for interviews, for the fragrances trying to get the job. So I feel what's really important with this is that you're wearing the most likable fragrance possible, because during this hiring period, you're meeting with HR, you're meeting with potential coworkers, supervisors. I know for the position that I'm currently in, I did 9 interviews, meeting way more than 9 people. I was meeting people all the time. And so you really want your fragrance to be a people pleaser, a crowd pleaser. But again, something that smells really professional. And for that, we have Acqua di Gio Profumo. And so this is an aquatic fougere, again, a classic that was reimagined in 2015 with this Profumo version that I feel like one gave it better longevity. And also just rounded out some of those aquatic sea notes that I personally found a bit scratchy. Here I find it's just a much smoother fragrance. The original Acqua di Gio is a classic and a mega bestseller. It is amazing and innovative for its time, but I think now with the 2015 version, they really built on it, and now this is the version that I prefer. So yes, we have these sea and aquatic notes. We have bergamot, we have rosemary, and then, you know, the notes list say incense and patchouli. I would say more incense than patchouli. Patchouli can get, you know, be a bit too earthy, I think sometimes for the office, or a bit too sweet. But here it's not at all. It's just these fresh aquatic notes, and bergamot really rounded out by these really nice woodsy notes. And people love it. This is a huge compliment getter as well. Also a really versatile fragrance. If you're not really into fragrance wardrobes, this could also be a great signature scent. It's just an amazing fragrance for all time, but again, very, very likable, a good tester. You know, it pleases people on like market tests. Again, it's been on the market in several iterations for several decades now, I believe. And so, yes, it's just kind of like the perfect, likable, professional fragrance when trying to get the job. So let's say that you already have the job and you are after that promotion, you feel it is well deserved, and you just need a little something to push you over the edge. And so this is where I think familiarity plays a big role. You know, you want your boss to see a little bit of himself in you. And at least where I'm at in Europe, kind of like the boss fragrance, the fragrance of kind of like a successful man, is Habit Rouge by Guerlain. So this is actually Guerlain's masculine response to the big hit Shalimar. And so you kind of have a similar fragrance structure here where you have this intense citrus, although here I find it to be more lemon than the bergamot we see in Shalimar. But again, paired with this vanilla. Personally, I actually prefer Habit Rouge to Shalimar. I find it to be a bit more timeless. I struggle a bit wearing Shalimar, where Habit Rouge, I feel like, you know, could have been released much more recently than it was. And so something I like about this fragrance is that it's very different. It doesn't follow the traditional fougere structure, but it's still very classic, and it has vanilla, which I think is one of the most attractive notes. Not that you necessarily want to smell attractive at work, but even when I'm wearing it, it's one of those fragrances that I just find really comforting and cozying, and I get a lot of joy out of wearing. So if you're not a fougere, fresh and clean guy, I think Habit Rouge is a perfect choice for work. And because it, you know, is a fragrance a bit of a different, I don't want to say different time because it is timeless, but it was very popular a couple decades back. I think it's a fragrance that shows a lot of maturity without smelling dated. And that's why I feel like it's a perfect fragrance to kind of get your boss and coworkers to take you a little bit more seriously with this like very refined fragrance choice. And now the fragrance for when you're the boss, you've made it, you can wear whatever you want, but my recommendation is Koenig by Josh. I hope I'm saying that okay. And this fragrance is an apple vetiver leather that is such an amazing fragrance. For me, I get like 6 to 8 hours of longevity of it. The wear is close. It's not beast mode by any means. I'd say maybe 3 feet of wear around you. People can smell you. And I don't know why, to me, this is like, that's the perfect fragrance for being a boss because it's unique. No one else is going to have this fragrance, and so it's distinctive. But we've all smelled apple, leather, and vetiver notes before. And so, you know, you're not smelling too weird, too quirky, too out there. They're also all really masculine and addictive notes, especially, of course, the leather, the woods, the vetiver. So I just think it straddles a really nice line where it's like unique but welcoming, not too strange. You have this kind of addictive facet with the apple, but the leather vetiver still gives it a nice buttoned up, you know, professional feel to it. And of course, Koenig means king. And so I think that plays a nice little wink to being the boss as well. I'm a terrible winker. I hope that came out okay. Last, we have our versatile office fragrance for wherever you are in the office hierarchy, and not just for the office, but the fragrance you can wear from the office to the after-work drinks. And that fragrance is INEKE's Field Notes from Paris. And again, this is another one that doesn't follow the traditional fougere structure. I'm realizing actually there was quite a bit of diversity in this list. I had a really long list that I was choosing from, and initially it was going to be mostly fougeres, but I also wanted to give you guys some diversity, because just because you're at the office, doesn't mean you want to smell like everyone else. And you definitely won't with INEKE's Field Notes from Paris. It's a tobacco with musks, a touch of citrus. I think, a lot of times with skin scents, we see them a lot in the women's category with these like floral musks. But actually this tobacco fragrance wears like a masculine skin scent. It has something very clean about it despite being a tobacco fragrance, and I believe that's coming from the woods. But again, it still has this like dark sexiness. There's a touch of musk, a touch of vanilla. But again, done in a very refined and clean way that I think makes it absolutely appropriate for the office. With this pick, I wanted something with some of the heavier notes. I wanted the tobacco, the leathers, that kind of family, because I think they perform so well in the evening. And one of my other picks for this was going to be Ombre Leather by Tom Ford, but I feel like that fragrance can be a bit too much of a beast for certain office spaces. If you wear it at the office and no one seems to have a problem with it, then I think that's great. Honestly, I love Ombre Leather by Tom Ford as well, and I think it could be an office fragrance, but I think if you work somewhere that is super formal or with kind of sensitive colleagues, sensitive to fragrance, it wouldn't be the greatest choice. And that's when I switched over to Field Notes from Paris for INEKE, because this is such a versatile fragrance. If you have any questions about if a fragrance is appropriate for the office, just put them down below, and I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye everyone.